I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're speaking with Joe Goodbody, who is an established historian and biographer known for his meticulous research and engaging storytelling. In his book, Kentucky Barracuda, Parker H. French, the author delves deep into the life of one of America's most audacious conmen, bringing to life the many facets of this elusive character who was at once a scoundrel, an adventurer, and a persistent enigma. We are delighted to have Joe Goodbody join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the folks at Pro Isle Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel. Joe, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Logan. Appreciate being here.
Great to have you. Parker H. French. Whatever compelled you to write about this little-known character in American history?
Well, frankly, it started out as happenstance. I was with my brother. We were doing research on my great-grandfather, and knew that he had been involved in the California gold rush and had trouble getting across the continent, but we knew nothing of how he got there. And we found a reference to him being a member of Parker French's fraudulent gold rush expedition. And it started us on the trail of trying to figure out why our grandfather, whose family and lore said was very tough, very skeptical, very smart, how in the heck did he get swindled? So that's how it got started. And I did a lot of research over 5 years, visiting everywhere and researching on the internet, all the digital capability now. And finally got enough that there was a there, and got the book written. So it was awesome. An interesting travel experience.
Yeah, it's interesting that you started out on one path, looking at the history of your relatives, and then wound up on the other path of writing a biography about Parker H. French. So for the folks at home, let's give them the broad picture. Who was Parker A. French?
Yeah, well, the cover of the book is a pretty good glimpse to the inside of the book. The con man, shyster, swindler. He was born in Kentucky, and the subtitle, "Notorious Scoundrel and Delightful Rogue," gives somewhat a perspective of what people thought of him, what the editors and papers thought of him. He was variously described as this notorious scoundrel, a chronic megalomaniac, intrepid hero. So everybody had all kinds of different views of him, and of course he was also stated as being this delightful rogue. So that's where I actually got the subtitle from, was two period newspapers and editors describing him in completely opposite ways. So he was, as a scoundrel, he was a magnificent scoundrel. He was a manipulator, a schemer, very almost Machiavellian in his approach to everything. He was had a lot of charisma, crafty, cunning, tough, but he got everybody to, it seemed, to take on his approach to doing different things, and he got them trapped, I think, in a lot of various things, and even endeavors that were started out seemingly innocent always concluded in him, somebody being duped. Yeah. So everything he did had some element of a scam or a embezzlement or a fraud or something. Something was always going along with him.
And also, this was a great vehicle.
I'm sorry.
I was saying this was a great vehicle for you to also inform the readers about this period in history, the Civil War and the antebellum period as well.
Yes. When we started tracing it, what grabbed me about his movement, the pace of rapidity of his movement and the breadth of his experience was just remarkable to me. When he was a young boy, he ran away from home and made his way to New Orleans, got to England, joined the British Navy, fought in the Opium Wars as a cabin boy in a powder monkey. When he got back, he was very mature, world wise beyond his age, and his uncle sent him to live with a very renowned family out in Illinois, the Edwards family, where he joined lived with the judge, married his daughter, and became one of the most influential member of the most influential families in America. So that started him out on if he could have been a very successful person, and his resume of always being an entrepreneur, seeking new things. If it wasn't for those pesky, unpleasant adjectives on how he did it, it was he could have been a very successful man.
Yeah.
So the first thing he did was he became a commission merchant in St. Louis. A year later, as a young man, built the first ocean-going ship on the Upper Mississippi. Then he became, over the next 10 years or so, before he was 30, he was a gold rush expedition leader, implicated in an invasion of Cuba, made his way to California on that, and was through Mexico, where he was a bandit and then a paramilitary hero, and then got to California, where he was a lawyer and district attorney, and then a legislator in the California legislature, where, guess what, he was on the Ways and Means Committee. So he had, just off the bat, he was very, moved around the country a lot. And then he went to Nicaragua and was part of a cabal to take over the Nicaraguan government, was surprisingly appointed as the Nicaraguan ambassador to the United States, where he was rejected promptly. And after that, you got into the Civil War period, where I think he was a political chameleon, an ideological chameleon, that he didn't care who he was for, as long as it was advantageous to him.
Yeah. It seems like he lived a lot of lives because of all the different roles he had, but he also died a lot of deaths. He was reported killed 5 times. Tell the audience a little bit about that part of his history.
When he finally died in 1878, it was sort of a little known fact that he had died. I mean, most people, or a lot of people, thought he had died before. He had been twice killed in gunfights, twice executed in Mexico, once by hanging, once by firing squad, and once killed in Nicaragua. And many thought there were lapses of interesting news stories about him. So many people thought he had died, and were really surprised when he was not. And some and his close associates thought he had drunk himself to death. So when he finally died, there was very little notice. There was just a little one-line thing in the New York Times that he had died. But the whole period was peppered after. One thing he did during the Civil War, he was, interestingly, a seditionist and agitator up in New England. Got arrested, got thrown in jail up in Boston Harbor at Fort Warren, and then was released with the rest of the political prisoners in early 1862. And within 3 months, he was a supply purveyor and lawyer working for the Union forces in Northern Virginia. So he had all kinds of schemes and ways of getting around things. And sometimes I think because he had associates with influential families, and his wife was cousins to both the Lincoln family and the Calhoun family. So I thought he had a get out of jail free card, but I never was able to establish that. But he was jailed 6 or 7 times and always got out within a couple of days or a couple of months, but never taken to the shed. So.
Exactly. Well, it sounds like your book would be a great basis for a series on Amazon Prime or Netflix or something. I mean, I can see the historic backdrops of the antebellum period and this man, and these many, many adventures that he had. And he kind of has the charm of like a Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid kind of thing going on, don't you think?
Yes, and one of the interesting things, some of my readers in reviews and things, just talking to me, they said this is the Catch Me If You Can story of the mid 1800s.
Exactly.
So it does have an opportunity, I think, for a nice series. And in fact, my publisher is working right now on the first aspects of a screenplay. So that might come to fruition.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, the name of the book is Kentucky Barracuda, Parker H. French. He was a scoundrel, he was a likable rogue, and he is a man of intrigue for sure. Joe Goodbody has spent a lot of time investigating, researching, sorting out the facts and the fiction about this man, and he has put together an incredible book that will just keep you flipping the pages. It is that delightful. It is that interesting. Joe, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it as well. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time. This time until next time on Spotlight. Okay, well, you did a great job, Joe.
Well, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Tongue-tied a little bit, but
it always feels worse than it sounds. It's all normal,
okay,
normal
great.
stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Nerves kick in a little bit, and sometimes it's hard to get the words out, but you sounded great and lots of great information. And so this should be streaming by Friday. And
Okay.
the folks at Pro Isle will have all the links and everything so you can watch it, share it, and enjoy it, okay?
Okay, great.
All right, my friend. Well, have a
much.
great spring and a wonderful summer down in North Carolina. And I look forward to talking to you again down the road.
Okay, appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Take care.
Bye.
Bye now.